Make the bad man stop.
Hi everyone, this is Tim Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk entertainment. This bad man, as always, will never stop. It's even President's Day. Doing a holiday video. Hopefully a lot of people have today off. Hope you do. Hope you enjoy the day. Hope you enjoy the rest, because you know what? March 16th, the start of the NFL season, is going to be right around the corner before you even know it. And the Shane has already got some tough decisions he needs to make. We've talked about this in the past. We've talked about this multiple times. Giants are over the cap, anywhere between 12 to 16 million. They need to be under that number by March 16th. They need to be at 0, 0, 0, 0, or under. And, you know, I don't envy Shane. I do have to give him all the credit in the world. And him and Dable, and I've said this before. Shane has come out multitudes of times and has said that the Giants are in a very interesting situation. They're in a situation where tough decisions are going to need to be made. They're in a situation where they're going to have to make some tough cuts just to get underneath the cap. And, you know, he's honest about it. Because, you know what? Unlike the previous regime who lied about basically everything, this man has come in here and said, you know what? Here are the problems with the cap. Not with the roster yet, but here are the problems with the cap. Here's what we're going to need to do. And tough decisions, are going to need to be made. He came off and said, first off, we have to get underneath the cap. We have to make some tough decisions here in the near future just to get in a place where we can sign draft picks and be below the cap. There's a fine line because you can't just purge. And I've said this a million times before. Everybody's like, we're going to waive this guy. We're going to get rid of this guy. You can't keep doing that, incurring all the dead cap space, and then limiting your roster by having maybe 33 guys on the roster at the start of the season when you need 53. And that's a bad way to go, because his goal is to come up with $40 million in cap space. Well, if you have to sign 20 million, if you have to sign 20 players with $40 million, and don't forget the people on your practice squad and everything else, that's a bad way to do business. Now, of course, the Shane is still envisioning building the offense around Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. I don't totally agree with that, but he goes, I don't want to purge the roster because we still have to find out what Daniel Jones can do. We have to find out what Saquon can do. We got to get some good pieces on the defense, find the balance. The fine line is cutting players that can really help you win, but also get under the salary cap when you're going to have the draft picks as well. And I've said this before. You could get rid of James Bradberry, and let's just say you save $8 million by dumping Bradberry and incur $8 million in dead cap. Now, I know these aren't the numbers, but I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm just saying, let's just say he's at $16 million. And you know, he's got his cap hold of $16 million. You waive him, you save 8, but you got a dead cap number of 8. So now you have to go out, and I said I don't like doing this, but you have to then go out and replace James Bradberry with someone, if you're going to go spot for spot, that makes $8 million. So are you going to find a corner who is better than James Bradberry at $16 million at 8? Or are you going to deplete your roster of talent and deplete your defense by taking away one of its key players? Now, I think we're going to have to get rid of Bradberry. I think we're going to have to trade him because it just makes more sense if we possibly can. But that's what you need to look at as an organization. You can't just strip the cupboard of everything. You can't just deplete the talent. You can't just purge the roster. And that's why Joe is saying it's a fine line. It's a fine balance. And then we also need to talk about the rookie draft pool. And we've talked about this ad nauseum, the rookie draft pool. We've talked about it forever. You have the rule of 51 starting on March 16th. So that's you only account for the top 51 contracts on your roster. So you could be over the cap going in the training camp. That's fine. But once training camp breaks, you lose the rule of 51, and then you have to get into the top 53 roster. So in that inclusion of that equation is a rookie salary cap. Now, the rookie salary cap, like I said, it's great to have 2 picks in the top 10, but you're also incurring 2 top 10 salaries. Your rookie pool is going to go up exponentially. I've said this before. It would be better for the Giants if they dropped down maybe to 12, 13, or 14, trading that 7th pick. Because to me, it would make more sense because you're still gonna need assets. You're still gonna need to help alleviate some of the pressure on that salary cap. Now, unless there are two players at 5 and 7 that you have to have, you are the Giant organization, you are the Shane, you are the Dable, and you just have to have these two guys. But the problem is we have more, and I've said this before, we have more holes on this roster than Swiss cheese. And it starts, I mean, if you take a look at it, you're going to need maybe 4 offensive linemen, potentially a quarterback, potentially a running back. You have 0 tight ends on the roster. I don't count Caden Smith as a tight end. I count Caden Smith as a 3rd string tight end at best. I've got blasted weeks ago by saying we should re-sign Evan Ingram if he wants to come back on a team-friendly deal, but I don't think he would want to come back. He goes, why would you? After 5 years being with the Giants and all the crap you went through, I would want to leave as well. But the question is, you have to potentially move back on that pick to save cap space, to save the money, because you're still going to need more guys. You're going to need more guys in free agency than you are going to need via the draft to fill this roster. Now, you have to look at the fact that there are potentially some teams that are extremely quarterback needy, and they're behind the Giants, which is a good thing for the Giants. And that includes, if you take a look at it, you think the Broncos are going to want a quarterback. Washington needs a quarterback. We're not going to trade within the division, but Washington's going to need a quarterback, and they're sitting at 11. Saints are at 18. Steelers are at 20. Steelers definitely need some help. The Bucs at 27, the Colts at 47. You're not going to trade with the Buccaneers and the Colts. But you could potentially go with Atlanta, too, at 8. But that's not really going to help your cap situation, Eddie. And I don't think you're going to have someone that's going to give you a lot of assets to trade up from 7 to 8. So you figure the Saints are probably as far back as I would want to go. That's probably as far back as I want to go would be 18. And like I said, there would have to be someone at 18 that I knew I could get, that I really wanted. The Colts, of course, would be a logical choice, but they don't have any first-round draft picks because of the Carson Wentz deal. So they don't have anything available right now with that. So I mean, if they want to move up to 5th or 7th, oh my God, that music is coming in real strong again here. We weren't even done early here, but we're talking about Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz, you know what the funny thing is? People talked about Carson Wentz potentially coming to the Giants. Oh my God. I don't think the Giants want a situation where they're going to, if they really think that Daniel Jones is the guy, they're not going to bring in someone to challenge him, because I've said it before. I think Daniel Jones has a weak mental fortitude in reference to being competition. And I think the Giants know that. That's why they never have brought in anyone that could press him at any time. And sometimes, competition breeds success. But to me, the Colts would be a big trade partner. But like I said, but they don't have the assets. So if you take a look at it, unless you want to trade in the division, you got the Commanders, the Saints, and the Steelers. I wouldn't go the Steelers unless I had to. I mean, honestly, the Commanders, I like just saying the Commanders because it's such a stupid name, at 11 would save you some space, but the Saints at 18 would save you more space. And would give you the ability and some more flexibility in free agency to sign a player or two. But but like I said, I mean, I don't know. It really depends on if the Giants see a player at 18 that they think they could get, that they really enjoy, that they think they could pick up on. And I think that's going to be the key. But like I said, it's going to be there's just so many issues right now with poor Shane. You got to feel bad for him in some ways. You got to feel bad. And they even came out and said their players were paid these contracts they're making because at some point they were performing at a certain level. Whether they are overhauled or maybe they've got more than how they're performing or not, that we're going to have money to free up. I can't even talk today. Whether they are overvalued or not, they got more than how they often perform or not. That's where you're going to have to free up money. Is he talking about Kenny G? Who's on the books for $21 million? Is he talking about that? If the Giants would actually, the Giants would incur. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, like I said, we gave some bad contracts out. I know one of the things I do not want to look at for the Giants is I do not want them to start extending these contracts, because every one point in 2023 we have like $89 million. But that's the problem. That's just, I don't want to keep restructuring deals and moving out. But we're running out of time. Legal tampering starts on March 14th. The season, free agency in the new league year starts March 16th. So he's got a lot of work to do between now and March 14th to get this up and running and get this going and get the Giants ready for free agency, because we got to prop up this roster somehow. And that's what we need to figure out, because everyone's like, well, we're just going to get these players in the draft. We're going to get these players in the draft. Draft picks for like free agencies are not a sure thing. How many busts have we had the last couple of years on, via the draft? That's what we need to look at. Don't forget, we had the big show on Tuesday with the Dama, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are 225 subscribers away from hitting 10,000. 10,000 is the goal, because we want to sell Poppy gear, Poppycock merchandise, and draft, baby, t-shirts, and some other fun stuff. So we're moving slowly to that goal. We're creeping. We're creeping a little bit. We're creeping. I love it. Someone DM'd me yesterday and said, you know what I love about you? I was like, oh, great. Someone loves something about me. That's not a family member. They go, you're a grinder. You do a video a day no matter what, and you always have some type of content. And I have always said, you know what, I'm never going to be the most popular channel, and I'm fine with that because of my attitude, my cockiness, my arrogance, my takes, and the fact that I say things that people don't like, even though they come to fruition. But you know what? I've always been that way. I was that way as a player. I was that way in the professional annals of my careers. And you sometimes just got to grind it out, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to always do. So we're never going to stop doing daily videos. And again, this is Tim with the Online Big Blue, bringing the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could like, subscribe, if you're going to have anything, that'd be awesome.